There's a very specific moment the first time you see one of these in person where your brain tries to categorize it and fails completely and just moves on because the Campagna T-Rex doesn't fit into anything cleanly. It's not a car, it's not a motorcycle, it's not even trying to compromise between the two. It just exists somewhere slightly outside of normal logic. Come on, T-Rex friends and Autocycle family, let's talk about it. On paper, this makes no sense. In real life, it's even worse because once you actually spend time around one, drive it, sit in it, watch people react to it, you realize this isn't just a weird vehicle. It's a very intentional one. And this is why the autocycle world is different, because something like this doesn't survive in a category built on practicality. It survives because it does something else extremely well. It makes you feel something. And the T-Rex does that almost immediately. Let's start with the obvious. It looks like it escaped from a racetrack. It's got a wide stance, exposed front wheels, low, aggressive profile. Everything about this design is telling you the same thing. This is not going to be subtle, and it isn't. Underneath that body, you've got a Kawasaki inline-4 engine, depending on the generation, typically around 208 horsepower, which doesn't sound outrageous until you remember what it's attached to. Just over 1,000 pounds. That's it. So the math gets interesting very quickly, like 0 to 60 sub 3. Sequential style transmission, power delivered in a way that feels immediate, not violent, not unpredictable, just very aware of your decisions. It's quick enough to be exciting, but not so overpowered that it feels like it's constantly trying to prove something, which honestly is part of its charm, because unlike some machines that are always on edge, the T-Rex lets you choose when things get serious. You can cruise, you can enjoy the road, you can have an actual conversation with yourself or a passenger about your life choices. And then, if you want to, you can ignore all that. That balance matters more than people expect, because driving something extreme all the time gets exhausting. Driving something that can be extreme when you ask it to, now that's different. That's sustainable fun. And then there's the seating position. Low, open, grounded, surrounded by just enough structure to feel intentional, but not enough to feel isolated. You're not sitting with the machine so much as you're sitting in it. Every input feels connected. Steering is direct, throttle response is immediate. The whole experience feels mechanical in a very honest way. No filters, no unnecessary layers, just input and outcome. And yeah, weather exists. There's no one pretending otherwise. This is not the vehicle you take out because it's convenient. It's the one you take out because it's worth it. And no one understands that better than Campagna, which is why customization plays such a big role here. Different trims, carbon fiber options, custom paint, wheels, finishes, cockpit details. You can spec one of these to feel raw and aggressive or slightly more refined, depending on your definition of refined in something with exposed suspension. It's expensive, but it's not about luxury. It's about personality. And that's something a lot of modern vehicles quietly lost along the way. Now, zoom out for a second, because the T-Rex doesn't exist in a vacuum. You've got things like the Polaris Slingshot, which leans more towards accessibility and daily usability, the Vanderhall Venice, which goes for a more classic, almost vintage-inspired experience, and even something like the Morgan three-wheeler, which feels like it time-traveled here purely out of curiosity. All different interpretations of the same loose idea. And then there's the T-Rex, which created a class all of its own. If you find yourself in the market for one of these amazing machines, know that it's not the most practical. It's not even the most extreme, but it is arguably the most complete. It doesn't try to reinvent transportation. It just refines a very specific experience. And it's been doing that for a while now, which says something, because trends come and trends go. Attention shifts, but the T-Rex stuck around, not because it made the most sense, but because it keeps delivering something people actually want, a connection to the road, to the machine, to that slightly irrational part of your brain that says, yeah, this is probably unnecessary, but also absolutely worth it. And maybe that's the real point. Not everything needs to justify itself through efficiency or practicality. Some things just need to be good at what they are. And the T-Rex is very, very good at being exactly what it is, which makes me wonder, as the autocycle world keeps expanding, getting more efficient, more extreme, more experimental, do we move further toward innovation? Or do we start to lose the simplicity that made machines like this so good in the first place? And where does something like the T-Rex fit in that future? Right in the middle? Or exactly as it's always been, in a class of its own? Either way, whether you're carving up a back road or trying to understand why this thing exists in the first place, just remember to be nice and ride safely. I'll see you on the next one.